there was somebody else who fought on the same card, the main event, for those of you who don't know, who doesn't need to dive into the beginning steps of fighting. He's been doing it for quite some time. That would be Anderson Silva. I'm sure you've heard of him. If you know anything about the UFC, he is one of the faces, the names of that the UFC was built on. He is
one of the greatest of all time.
yeah, I mean, he's one of the guys that he helps bring up the younger generation. He fought against the best generation that came through. He's done it all. He's been through adversity. He's seen it all. But the headline fight was Uriah Hall and Anderson Silva. We were set for a 5-round crazy match. Uriah Hall absolutely looks up to Anderson Silva. He admires him to no end. Needless to say, I think they are friends as well. I mean, outside of the ring, I think they are friends. Uriah Hall defeats Anderson Silva in the 4th round by TKO. And then it was interesting enough, for those of you who didn't watch, Uriah Hall gets down on his knees and shares about a 3 to 5 minute experience with Anderson Silva, where Uriah Hall is in tears, crying his eyes out, and apologizing for knocking out Anderson Silva, or because that he knew that this was Anderson Silva's last professional fight. I mean, just if you get a chance, go back and watch it. It was an incredible scene to witness. But Nick, I just want to get, what did you think of everything that transpired after the fight? Not necessarily in the ring, but right after.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew coming into this was his last fight, and even Dana White said afterward that he's lucky he had this fight. I mean, at 46 years old, it's a surprise that he even made it to the ring and was able to fight this. And you see it. This is not the Anderson Silva of old. This isn't, prime Anderson Silva, even in the slightest. This is a guy who's a shell of himself, and he's just a victim to age. You can't. Your body gives out after a certain point, and there's nothing you can do about it. And he just loves fighting so much. His passion, his ability to love a sport when he already knows pretty much everything. He goes in every day and trains and loves to do it. Loves to get down there on the mat and just use all of his tools and try to learn new things. It's absolutely amazing to see somebody like that who has that courage and that will to really improve when they're already the best at what they do. And to see Anderson Silva do that at 46 years old and as one of the best of all time, it's amazing. Anderson Silva, that it wasn't a good performance, and you could see that Uriah Hall was struggling fighting him. It was tough for him as somebody who adores him like Uriah Hall does. It was very, very tough and very emotional for him. And you knew at the end of the 3rd round, it looked like it was about to be over. And then in the 4th round, that's when Uriah Hall was like, okay, I think it's time.
Let's end this.
Yeah. I think Anderson Silva was kind of thinking the same thing. Once the nose was split open, that's when things kind of got out of control.
Right.
And Anderson Silva, you could tell by his expression. It's always been. I mean, Anderson Silva never is definite about anything, and we've thought for the last few fights that this might be his last one, but I think we knew it in this one. It's not only his last fight in the UFC, we know that for sure, but I think it's his last MMA fight in his career. Just the way he was taking in everything after the fight, the way he was just sitting there, just on the mat, and it was a true moment that he was just collecting his thoughts and really
just soaking it
all in. Exactly. That's when he knows that it's his time, and I think he was coming to terms with it.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, Silva still has one fight left on his current UFC contract. Dana White was already saying that he was lucky to get this fight, let alone he's have another one. Do you think Silva fights anywhere else outside of the UFC? If he get another promotion anywhere else, do you think he continues on, or does he just stay as like a coach
well,
and a mentor?
that's kind of the problem is there are other promotions that will seek Anderson Silva out because of his name, because of who he is.
Right.
And he loves to fight so much that he will get in his own way. And that's why Dana White was saying, I'm not going to stop him from signing with other promotion. If he wants to move on and continue to fight, fine, I'll release him from his contract. But it's up to his family to really get on him and really stop him from fighting again because his body can't do it. He doesn't have the stamina, the power to do it anymore. He just doesn't. And
Right.
someone's got to stop him from hurting himself. You know, he suffered devastating injuries in his career. And he's at a point where if he gets injured like that again, it could have severe implications on the longevity of his health, of his life. And this isn't a sport where you fool around.
No.
That you can't take risks like that. And his sons have been saying for the last few years, Dad, you need to hang it up. You need to stop. Like I'm scared for you. And I know he's listening to him, but this time he's really got to listen to him. When they say it's time, he's got to stop. There's no reason. You don't have anything else to prove. So
Yeah.
what are you fighting for? I know you're doing it for yourself. I know you could care less about the outside noise, but it's time. And if that
No, it is. It is. And Anderson Silva, he is going to be revered as the guy that we saw years ago. He's not going to be the guy that Uriah Hall beat. That's not who we're going to remember. I think he needs to leave it at that. As tough as that may be, and you know what? Let him be a coach. Let him be a mentor. Let him be somebody that you can fight with in as you train. Let him be somebody for that purpose. But professionally speaking, if fighting in front of crowds, fighting on promotions and for events, I just don't think that his body can sustain it anymore. I mean, just going back to this fight, you saw we we're watching it obviously separated. We're not together, but we were on the call with each other, and through the first 3 rounds we're like, okay, I don't know if he's either tired or if he's just getting ready for the championship rounds. Like, what's the game plan here? And then as soon as the fourth round started, he was just gassed. There was no question about it. He was not. He was just not there.
yeah,
And I think that is the biggest telltale sign that if your body, as much as your mind is in it, if your body can't do it, you have to hang it up. You're going to risk major injury and major consequences to your health if you don't.
yeah, I mean, I think we expected Anderson Silva to start out that fight the way he started out every other fight in his career. He moves around, he doesn't throw a punch, he doesn't throw a kick, he just wants to feel you out. He wants to get a feel for what you're trying to do. And he'll take his time. There's no rush. He has 5 rounds, so why rush it? And there's no crowd. He doesn't have to be a people pleaser like he tries to be. So he could do what he wants when he wants. He can take his time, and he took full advantage of there being no crowd because no one's there to boo him. So take as much time as you need, and he literally took 4 minutes out of the first round to just stand there and figure out Uriah Hall, and he landed some good shots. He had some good rounds in the beginning, but
Yep.
he quickly dwindled off and drifted away from the Anderson Silva we're used to because he just can't do it anymore. So it's unfortunate to see, but like you said, we'll never remember Anderson Silva for what he is today. We'll remember him for what he was 10 years ago, for
Yeah,
the unbelievable title reign he had and the destruction he caused in the middleweight division.
for
And
sure.
he'll always be a pioneer in this sport. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I would even go as far as to say if you were to create a Mount Rushmore of UFC fighters for the UFC brand, I would have to imagine that Anderson Silva makes his way as one of those four heads etched in stone for this brand. Because there is no UFC the way it is today without somebody like Anderson Silva to help build that brand and be an iconic superstar for which you base your pay-per-view events and your major money-making events off of.
Yeah, I mean, he was the first John Jones. He was the first Khabib. You know, he was the first person to come into the sport and absolutely dominate the best of the best.
Right.
So you don't see these people, these fighters, all the time. They're once in a blue moon, and when you get to see them, you just sit back and enjoy them because it's not going to last forever. And as much as Anderson Silva wants it to, that's just not the case.